Alright, so I've been doing some work on my garden, and I've been looking at like big farms like this, right? So I built this big farm, and well, I just figured something out, or more so, heard about something. So the admins made this post, I kid you not, an hour and 40 minutes ago. We will be making some important changes to the garden regarding the buildable height limit. These changes are not live yet, but they're coming. The build height limit. The buildable height limit is going from 50 to 10, starting at the bedrock layer. Now, I totally understand this, and I can see why they're doing this. But the fact that it didn't roll out with the update means that there are lots of people who've spent hours and hours building giant farms for them to now no longer grow. The patch isn't live yet, but it's pretty frustrating. Like I said, totally understand it. Of course, computers don't grow on trees, servers don't grow on trees. So I can totally understand them saying this is to ensure servers don't crash and burn. And I can also understand them saying it's more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. And it's nicer in general. I do wish this would have been a feature from the get-go. And they kept this off with, while we're aware this is, from a first glance, a nerf, we'll be monitoring player progress and determining if we do need to change anything to the garden's progress. Thankfully, they are addressing crop growing speed, specifically in netherwort. They said we are aware of some issues with some crops, specifically netherworts, where they need to regrow faster for this to be feasible. We will be looking into speeding up the growth rate with a height limit patch to ensure they are not negatively affected by it. We're aware that mushrooms run into the same issue, however, changing their growth rate will require another patch later as we figure out how to implement it properly. Now, one of the good changes that will come out of this is finally garden levels will be changed to increase crop growth rate on your plots. Ultimately, these changes will ensure that the height limit nerf doesn't really feel like a nerf anymore. So basically, if you spent hours and hours building these farms, they know it's a nerf, it's an issue, and they put this out a little bit too late, but they are doing some things to address crop growing speed so that it won't feel as much like a nerf when you've farmed your crops enough and gotten a high enough garden level. And they're also doing some things to fix mushroom growth and netherwort growth, so that's good. Another part is unlocking plots, because as you probably know, it's kind of expensive to unlock your plots as you progress through the game. I haven't unlocked a whole lot of plots, probably gone up to 24 compost for the last plot, by 5 plots, 6 plots. So they will not be reducing the cost, but they are going to look at ways to improve compost gain and basically make compost cheaper and easier to get. Another change is they are increasing the amount of farming fortune on farming armor, which is also pretty good. It means we'll be able to get more crops easier, harvesting them, obviously, getting our counters up to 150 million on each crop, which is going to take forever. But in summary, height limit lowered from 50 to 10, nerfs all of the big farms that went up to the height limit in the garden. This is going to come out pretty soon in a patch. They're going to not get rid of the blocks up there if you've already built it, but they are going to make the crops stop growing. And when you do use your preset to load into another section of the garden, it's not going to spawn in those blocks. You also will not be able to place any more blocks up there. Netherwort's growing speed will be increased so that you don't have to make as many plots for specifically netherwort, so you can have a pretty easy infinite farm, much easier than it is right now. When you do achieve garden levels, higher garden levels, you will get an increase in crop growing speed, making those infinite farms a little more realistic for the base plots. And then also a future update is planned to improve compost production, making it easier to get for Iron Man players and probably reducing the price of it a good amount on the bazaar. And also farming armor, says at least most pieces, will receive an increase in farming fortune. More crops, more farming fortune. That's pretty good. It won't hurt the economy too much, but it will make getting that 150 million crop milestone for each crop a lot easier. So overall, while it is frustrating as someone who has built a pretty big farm on my garden island, one that definitely goes up to the height limit, it is frustrating to see that nerfed as it is. I do understand why it's happening, and I think it's a good change overall, as well as the way that they've changed other aspects of the garden to help out with that nerfing that they're doing, to kind of cover over it with making plots easier to unlock, improving the growing speed of crops, improving the fortune on farming armor. Things of that sort will definitely cover over it eventually, and we'll all forget about it. So yeah, that's about it.